so far, in the last 1 hour, there has been multiple news agency reports, including ANI reporting multiple reports from different parts, whether it is Jammu and Kashmir, whether it is Punjab, and so on, of a ceasefire violation by Pakistan. Now, there has been loud explosions heard in Srinagar, in and around Srinagar. That is what was said by none other than Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah. In fact, Omar Abdullah was the first to point out the ceasefire violation when he put a post on X saying that explosions have been heard and what the hell is this and so on. That is what Omar Abdullah has said. Now, thereafter, there have been multiple news agency reports, ANI reports and other media outlet reports saying that drones have been sighted in several places in Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and so on. Omar Abdullah was the first to point out as a possible ceasefire violation because he said that loud explosions were heard across Jammu and Kashmir, in large parts of Jammu and Kashmir, and there were reports coming in from Punjab in Kutch area and so on and so forth about drones being seen and sighted, and there were also reports that Indian air defense systems have neutralized some of these drones. And this is that. So it's actually a lot of it's confusing, and there are also some reports which says that the picture is extremely volatile and it is not clear. So we don't know what exactly is the situation, but there are credible reports, in fact, coming from credible people like the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister. When the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir reports that loud explosions are being heard in Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar, and so on and so forth, I think it is very difficult to brush that aside as some figments of imagination. Now, we have also got reports saying, international news agencies saying that there has been violations in the ceasefire. Now, explosions in Srinagar after a ceasefire agreed, that's what also we are getting. So we don't know exactly what is the situation. The picture is unclear at this point in time. But if there are indeed ceasefire violations, if there are indeed explosions, if there are indeed drones sent in from the Pakistani side, if there were indeed artillery fire or bombs put inside the Indian territory by the Pakistanis, then one would suspect that if the Pakistani state denies, we don't know what is the reaction of the Pakistani authorities, but if despite the authorities not commenting on the situation, if such a thing has happened, that would also indicate, raise the question whether there are rogue elements within the Pakistani army or whether the terrorists within Pakistan unhappy with the ceasefire carrying out with this operation. So all these things are there. We don't know what is happening, or whether the Pakistan itself, Pakistan government itself has decided to violate the ceasefire. The picture is absolutely unclear. What are you picking up, Ronak? What additional information do you have?
Well, Wasbir, at this point in time, we are getting multiple unconfirmed reports saying that the Chinar Corps headquarters of the Indian Army has been targeted in this ceasefire violation by Pakistan. And there are also a lot of reports saying that this fresh violation is perhaps their biggest violation in the last 3 days. The number of rockets and projectiles that have been launched by Pakistan in the last 2 to 3 hours is probably the biggest number in the last 3 days. Of course, these are unconfirmed reports. However, given the fact that, as you said, Wasbir, it is the J&K Chief Minister himself who tweeted out and even shared a video, it is hard to brush it aside as something that is just purely a figment of imagination.
Ronak, let me tell you, small arms fire hard amid blackouts in RS Pura in Jammu. Small arms fire hard amid the blackout in RS Pura, ANI reports, and there are reports of violation of cessation of hostilities by Pakistan, India's counter-grid intercepts. That's what also we are picking up. Raid streaks have been seen and explosions heard as India's air defense intercepts Pakistani drones amid blackout in Nagrota. That's what we are hearing. And then another Gujarat Home Minister, Harsh Sanghavi, he has tweeted that several drones have been spotted in the Kutch. Yes, now, please stay safe, don't panic. That is what the Gujarat Home Minister has said. A complete blackout has been enforced in Kathua sirens can be heard. A complete blackout has also been enforced in Moga in Punjab. Complete blackout is enforced in the entire Jammu region and Pathankot as well. Raid streaks have been seen as Indian air defense system intercept Pakistani drones amid blackout in Srinagar. Rajasthan also a complete blackout has been enforced in Jaisalmer. So these are the flurry of news reports that has come in. Ronak will also look at what the Indian authorities are saying. So far, we don't have any information from the Indian authorities. We are looking for, or we are trying to look at what are some of the information from the Indian authorities. Do you have any tweets or anything from the Indian authorities yet?
No, Wasbir, well, the only tweet that has been sent out by till now is by the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, as has been tweeted by the Gujarat Home Minister as well. However, of course, and of anything official from the Ministry of External Affairs side is still awaited as we speak. However, Wasbir, I would like to just come back to what you were mentioning just a moment back. You know, a lot of questions at this point are also being raised whether, there might be some rogue elements within the Pakistani army itself, because, it stands to reason that there might be a sizable number of people within the Pakistani army who may not be happy that a ceasefire agreement has been brokered between the two nations.
Yes, I don't totally. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to jump the gun because it was the United States that first announced the truce, and then it was Pakistani Foreign Minister who announced the truce in a tweet, and then it was the briefing by the Indian Foreign Secretary, and then later on followed up by the U.S. Secretary of State and the Indian External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. So I would not like to jump the gun, but yes, considering the nature of the Pakistani establishment, whether it is the political establishment or the military establishment, I think in Pakistan, I would not be surprised if rogue elements unhappy with the decision of the establishment, decision of the military chief, Asim Munir, to agree to the ceasefire. And who knows, there could even be a coup brewing in Pakistan. We don't know. These are just speculations. And because already there were a lot of people who are unhappy with Asim Munir. And now that the Pakistani government, Shahbaz Sharif and the army chief had agreed to the ceasefire, which was initiated by the United States. And of course, India has signed the ceasefire on its own terms, because when the Pakistani Director General of Military Operations contacted his Indian counterpart at 3:35 in the afternoon today, India made it clear that, well, we'll accept the ceasefire, but from henceforth, any act of terror in Indian territory will be considered as an act of war. So if I take that into consideration, India has agreed to the truce conditionally. Therefore, that is something which may have echoed or which may have sent alarm bells in Pakistan, and therefore some rogue elements or some terrorist organizations could have decided to violate the ceasefire. So anything is possible, but we don't know what are the types of weapons sent in, what are the types of drones sent in, whether it are the same type of drones sent in by the Pakistani armed forces in the last 2 days. We have to wait and watch, because we don't have any official word from the Indian authorities, whether it is the Ministry of Defense or the Ministry of External Affairs yet. We'll have to wait and watch. But these are very, very disturbing developments, Ronak. The entire world media has been reporting on this, that ceasefire violation within hours of the truce being agreed upon. So, if the truce has been violated, a big question mark will arise on what kind of an understanding was it, and of course, we have to also look at the situation inside Pakistan, whether it is the handiwork of rogue elements, whether it is the handiwork of the terrorists, or whether it is the handiwork of the Pakistan government itself, Ronak.
Absolutely. Also, Wasbir, I would just like to draw your attention to another fact. Earlier this evening, top MEA sources had also said that despite a ceasefire coming into effect, the Indus Waters Treaty will continue to remain suspended or continue to remain in abeyance. Do you think if this potentially is a ceasefire violation by Pakistan, that could have anything to do with this?
I would not like to hazard a guess at this stage, Ronak. But yes, India has made it very clear that despite the ceasefire, that was the case after 5 p.m. This evening. Despite the ceasefire, the India's water treaty will be kept in abeyance. That was the stand of the Indian government. That despite the truce, I'm talking about the situation post the announcement around 5:30, 5:40 this evening. The Indian government has said that despite the ceasefire, the Indus Water Treaty will be kept in abeyance. That has been the official stance of the Indian government so far. About at least 2 hours ago, maybe little more than that, Omar Abdullah, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, put out a tweet on X questioning what the hell is going on. This is no ceasefire. That's what he said. And after that, there were activity once again from the Pakistani side. And there are unconfirmed reports that a security force personnel on the Indian side has succumbed to injuries after the Pakistani shelling. We don't know the details yet. Now, Pakistani drones were spotted in Punjab, Firozpur, Gurdaspur, Hoshiarpur. Now, Gujarat, Kutch, and Rajasthan also cited drones, and this prompted air raids, sirens, and blackouts. Now, India's air defense systems intercepted several drones. Now, there are some media reports which I cannot confirm, but they said that India has condemned Pakistan's actions as a blatant violation, with the Indian Army and Border Security Force directed to respond forcefully. We are getting reports that the authorities have asked the Border Security Force to respond to Pakistani shelling with full force. That's what we are getting reports. And that is, of course, obvious. If there is a shelling from the other side, obviously such an order will be given by the Indian side to respond. And that's what we have said. And some reports are saying that India has condemned Pakistan's action and described this as blatant violation. But we don't know. These are unattributed news reports that we are getting. So we cannot confirm, because we have not heard anything yet from the Indian authorities. Now, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar was also again said in the media, which claimed to have said that the ceasefire was full-fledged. But despite that, the reports of continued military activity continues, and therefore Ishaq Dar's reported claim that the ceasefire was full-fledged is absolutely untenable. Now, if Ishaq Dar, the Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister, and Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, if he has really said that the ceasefire was full-fledged, and if the Pakistani state is saying really that the ceasefire was full-fledged, then who are these people engaging in such activity, violating the ceasefire and sending in drones and artillery fire along the line of control? That again brings me back to my original point. Whether there is a coup within the Pakistani military, that is something which we have to know. Whether there are rogue elements within the Pakistani army indulging in this, or whether it is the terrorists themselves or some terror groups, Pakistani-backed terror groups, which are indulging in this activity. So this is a very serious situation, because this comes within hours after the ceasefire was announced by all the three parties, that is the United States, India, and Pakistan.
Absolutely, Wasbir, and even as we speak, there are multiple more places from where a complete blackout is being reported, has been enforced. ANI reports are coming in at this point in time that a complete blackout has been enforced in Ambala in Haryana. Complete blackout has also been enforced in Patiala in Punjab. So these are minute-to-minute updates, and there are more places from where complete blackouts are being enforced and are being reported by ANI at this point in time, Wasbir.
Yes, the ceasefire came into effect at 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time at the initiative of the United States. India set some conditions. It was agreed upon, and therefore the ceasefire was agreed by India, and it was announced. Now, it follows weeks of heightened tensions, as you know, ever since the Pahalgam attack on the 22nd of April, where 26 people were killed, 25 Indian nationals and one Nepali citizen. Now, what we are getting hours after the ceasefire, Pakistani drones breached the airspace, triggering air defense responses. Now, raid streaks and explosions were reported, and India's air defense systems, including L-70 guns and Shilka systems, intercepted drones. Now, blackouts were enforced to counter aerial threats. Now, in Akhnur, that was in Udhampur, in Akhnur also Pakistan resumed artillery shelling in the LOC, violating the ceasefire. That's what reports are saying. Indian forces retaliated proportionately. BSF destroyed a terrorist launch pad in Pakistan's Sialkot district opposite Akhnur. That's also what we report. And heavy shelling and drone sighting were reported in Rajouri as well. So all this all these are reports that we are getting, which are extremely disturbing, because the ceasefire was reached barely 5 hours ago, 5.5 hours ago. So that is the scenario as of now. We are desperately looking for an official confirmation to what is going on. The picture is absolutely unclear at this point in time. We'll have to wait and watch. What are you picking up anything on from your end, Raunak?
Wasbir, at this point in time, there are multiple reports of complete blackouts being enforced in different places coming in. But of course, Wasbir, touching upon something which you just mentioned, top sources have been saying that, in case of a ceasefire violation by Pakistan, the BSF has been given the authority to respond with full force. So, if this indeed is a Pakistani ceasefire violation, and if does get confirmed by either the MEA or the MOD, then it is going to cost Pakistan dearly, as it has already been costing them dearly. A lot of their military assets have been damaged. That is what the Ministry of Defense has said. And now, again, if this does indeed turn out to be a ceasefire violation, it's going to cost them dearly even more.
Yes, that is true. But we have to wait and watch as to how things unfold now, how things pan out now. No, there are no immediate responses by the army or the defense sources are also not commenting on this right now. So we have to wait and watch. But news agency ANI is flooding with latest updates about sirens being blaring in different parts, blackouts being enforced, drones. Is no comment from the Indian side yet. So that makes the situation very, very volatile. But there is no denying the fact that two important government leaders have tweeted. One is, of course, the first to tweet was Omar Abdullah, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, and then it was the Gujarat Home Minister who has also tweeted saying that drones have been sighted. So this is the development as of now.